Libertad. And if people think that we're going to stop fighting for our freedom and liberty, they got something coming. Welcome. It's Friday night. I'm here, La Conservadora Tejana, tonight, Friday, on Stand Up, Stand Out America. And guys, this is an exciting show tonight on Friday. You guys, I'm going to introduce you to our one and only. It's the first broadcast. You will not want to miss it. You better share this podcast. We are live here with El Luchador, que está haciendo con el movimiento de la gente. I want y'all to meet El Luchador. El Luchador, welcome to our show this Friday night. It's going to be hot, hot, hot.
Hey, Bianca, thank you so much for having me, Bianca. And saludos a todos mis luchadores de Libertad out there in America, man. We need them. We need to all start fighting. We need to fight now. We need to fight for our freedoms. First of all, I'd like to thank my sponsors, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Those are my sponsors for tonight.
I love it. Listen, Luchador, why is it that you've decided to now come forward and speak out on Stand Up, Stand Out America? I know that, there's a lot going on in our country. There's some good stuff going on in our country, but we're literally watching our country like turn socialist, communist overnight.
Well, that it is. First of all, I wanted to show Antifa how to really wear a mask, a nice mask, a mask that makes a difference. This is how you wear a mask, Antifa, okay? You bunch of terrorists. This is how you wear a mask, okay? This is our culture. We are luchadores. As Latinos, we've always fought for freedom, and we will continue to fight for freedom. And we need to get up and start fighting for freedom, because this is it. Time is now. We have to start fighting for the freedoms that all of our forefathers gave us, that all of our ancestors sacrificed everything. And we need to rise up collectively, rise up together as Americans, as the Americans that the Latino community is in this nation.
Luchador, I want to make sure that everybody understands that we are not promoting any violence or anything of the sort like Antifa and BLM.
No.
We are actually peacefully asking for us to join the fight. But Luchador, what does that mean to the Hispanic community? How do we get in the fight? How do we save America? How do we go back to our constitutional principles, values? How do we even preserve what it gives us, todos los derechos que nos dan en nuestra constitution? How do we do that civically, peacefully? How do we do it, Luchador?
We have to rise up. Levántense. Ya no estén acostados. Ya sáquense del teléfono. Quítense del teléfono. Let's all rise up together. We have to make a difference. We have to volunteer. That's the one thing that as Latinos, unfortunately, you know why? You know why it's so hard for us, Bianca? It's very simple. Because we work. We work, Bianca. We work. You and I travel across the country, and we see, unfortunately, the homelessness that is out there in the United States, right? But it's very rare to see Latinos homeless. You know why? Because we're working. We're all working, Bianca. We're all contributing to this society. So yes, I know we're busy. Yes, I know we all work to maintain our family, to maintain a home for our families and for our children and for ourselves. But we have to dedicate ourselves to get up and represent ourselves in our free land, because once this nation falls, where are we going to go? Where are we all going to go with this work ethic? The one thing that makes me afraid for our children is that we are all going to become serfs. We are all just going to be working for those that are just going to take. How much more can these people take from us, for goodness sakes, Bianca? How much more?
Exactly.
I am at my wit's end, but we need to rise up. And when I mean fight under the auspices of the U.S. Constitution. I'm talking about fight for what it stands for. I'm talking about if somebody tries to shut you up, you tell them, no, I have First Amendment rights like you do. I have First Amendment rights just like you do.
That's they've been censoring us. Luchador, they've been censoring us. They've been, we don't really have a freedom of speech. You know, many of us have been shut down and taken down from fascist book and Twitter and Instagram. And we've lost our, you know, what is it? Parlor been taken. I mean, everywhere we go, YouTube, they're constantly censoring us on YouTube. How? We don't have the freedom of speech anymore.
Well,
Honestly,
what
we
does that
really
show you?
don't. So what
What
do
does
we
that show
do?
you? What does that show you? They're afraid. They're afraid. First Amendment rights should not be feared. They should be championed. And anybody that tries to take them away immediately shows who they are and what they represent, which is fascism. It's amazing. They're the first to call us fascists, but yet who really practices fascism? Who? It's them. And we need to start calling them out for what they truly are. They are the modern day fascists of the world, but they're united. They have the
You're,
power of the purse.
you're
They
right.
have the power of the press.
You're right.
They have the power of collectiveness. We need to do the same things. We need to rise up, but they're bullies. And like all bullies, all you have to do is stand up to them. That's all. We have to
Luchador,
rise
if
up
you,
and stand up to them. Unfortunately,
yeah,
unfortunately, Bianca, the party that is supposed to be fighting them, standing up for them legislatively, does nothing but bend over for them. What is that all about? That is
I
why
know.
we Latinos,
I've been
that is why
saying this.
Latinos are fed up. That
I
is why
know.
me and a lot of my luchadores, we're fed up with not having anybody back us up, Bianca. Let's be
That's
honest,
right.
they do not back us up.
That's
Why
right.
not? Why do they not back us up? It's very simple. Establishment. Establishment is why they don't back us up.
Do you believe, Luchador? Can you just kind of move? Yeah, move back a little bit. You're like real right up in the camera. There you go. So I want to be able to see you. But Luchador, when you say the establishment, do you believe in a uniparty in this right now? What we've been hearing this populist movement versus the uniparty. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as you know, Bianca, I am a student of history.
Okay.
George Washington abhorred parties. He warned a fledgling nation against setting up political parties because he knew that eventually they would become so corrupt, so self-serving that they would only serve themselves. And you tell me if that's not exactly what has now happened in our nation. These political parties, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, all they do is serve themselves. They want to keep themselves in power at all costs. And who winds up paying those costs if not we, the people? We, the people, have the power in this nation. That's why it's the first three words of our Constitution. We, the people, have the power, but we've given it up. We need to get that power back. We need to call out all of those Democrats and Republicans who are self serving. We need to call them out. It's amazing what they do. It's amazing how all they do is do everything they can to keep themselves in power. And when they consolidate economies like they've done, when they
What?
consolidate everything that they've done in this nation, consolidated everything from the internet to information to the press to entertainment, they've consolidated power to keep themselves in power.
So, Luchador, when you say, hey, look, our Latinos are out there working, you're right. You brought up a good point. Many Latinos, you don't see a lot of Latinos as homeless. You don't. You really don't, because we're out there working. So, how is it that we can civically become involved if we're busy working? Some Latinos are having to do 2, 3 jobs. And right now, with the Biden inflation, nobody can afford gas to get to work. I mean, people our Latinos, come on, we like brisket. We can't even buy a brisket anymore. It's like $150 for a brisket to feed our family of 6 when it used to be $65.
It's
How do we beat this? How do we civically get our Latinos educated, more engaged, more involved? And how do we tell them that, what do we do? Take a day off of work at the polls? I mean, how is it that they're going to become los líderes de su comunidad to make a difference and to stand up to save our pro-freedom policies and principles.
You know, it's so much easier said than done, Bianca. That's the problem. It's easier said than done, you know. I know, just like all my luchadores de Libertad out there, you come home from work, you're tired, you've been working all day, you've been slaving all day, out in the heat, out in the cold, out in the rain. You come home and the last thing you want to do is volunteer. But that's what it takes. This nation is a nation of volunteerism. We, however, don't get paid to volunteer. The liberal left gets paid to volunteer. They get paid to volunteer all the time. They get paid with food stamps. They get paid with all the money, all the free money that they're taking away from you and I and all the other hardworking Latinos in this nation. They get paid. They get paid to stay at home. They get paid to stay at home and boycott. We don't. We have to work, but we still have to get involved. We have to get involved at the school level. We have to get involved at the school board level. They are indoctrinating our kids. They're not educating our kids anymore. They're indoctrinating our kids. And that's the scariest thing.
You know what I was thinking about this. I was thinking maybe this is how we bring our party systems to their knees. Is you just made a point. You said, if you look at the homelessness around the country, most homeless people are not Latinos because they're out working. We should start a movement to where Latinos across the country do one day and we do a walkout day. Latinos only. We don't show up to the restaurants. We don't show up to the construction site. We don't show up to anything. We just walk out one day. One day we walk out.
Well, here's what we need to do.
We bring them to their knees, and then what? And then what? What do we have to have a plan of action. We have to say, hey, we're not going to no longer contribute to the workforce here unless that we do what? That you give us a seat at the table. I mean, how are we going to change this? Because they don't want to give up power.
This is it. Here, Bianca, you bring up an excellent point. Latinos are now the minority in this nation.
Right.
But do we hold the majority of the corporate seats in America? No. There is a city. There are many cities in the United States that have a Latino majority population. There is one city in particular that I have studied, and it's shocking to me. That city is San Antonio, Texas. San Antonio, Texas is predominantly Hispanic.
Okay.
But the mayor is not Hispanic. The chief of police is not Hispanic.
What?
The chief of the fire department is not Hispanic.
I thought they were Hispanic.
Not in San Antonio, Texas. It is amazing how San Antonio, Texas is a minority city with 60 to 70% of the population being of Latino ethnicity. Yet all of the power is held by white liberals. How is that possible?
That's insane. How did we get there?
Insane is right.
How did we get there? Look, our Hispanic community is very conservative. We're pro-life. We're pro-family. We're pro-education. But how did we get there?
You would think, but they keep voting. Now, here's the problem. Nancy Pelosi once said that their voters would vote for a glass of water if it had a D on it. Do you remember her saying that?
No.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Nancy Pelosi said it very proudly. She said, our voters would vote for a glass of water if it had a D on it. That's, I believe, what happens in San Antonio, Texas.
Right.
They are voting for Democrats across the board, no matter what. And you know why? Because the Republican Party does not put up any good candidates. The Republican Party, if they do put up a candidate in San Antonio, Texas, for the most part, does not reflect the makeup of the city.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's the problem we have across the nation, is we do not have representation. Ronald McDaniel, if you're listening to this podcast, wake up, Ronald McDaniel. Wake up. You
Yeah,
are
she needs to be
losing the
fired.
greatest opportunity you've ever had. You've wasted it, and you are wasting it daily, Ronald McDaniel. Wake up.
Well, hold on. Let me just throw this at you. But the RNC can come back and say, "Oh no, we've invested. We have community centers. We have them in South Texas. We have one in San Antonio. We have in Houston. They're in the most, Democrat, low propensity. That we put these voting centers there to educate Latinos. Well, what do you come back with that? They are pouring money. They have put offices. But what are they doing? That's obviously they're not connecting with the community. So what's the problem?
Insanity is the problem. They're doing the same thing and expecting a different result. That's insanity.
So what do you think they're doing in these Hispanic community centers?
They're doing the same thing and expecting a different result. It's insanity. They need to go and they need to remind the Latino. Here's the problem. The people that are running these centers are not Latinos. They're bringing down basically messaging points that maybe are not put into Spanish, but the messaging points do not resonate with Latinos. We need to educate Latinos into our history. We need to educate Latinos as to why. Why have your grandfathers and grandparents come to this country? What did they escape if not socialism? What is it about Latinos that makes us strive to give up everything to come to this nation, if not the work ethic? Champion the work ethic. What is it that we Latinos are so patriot? Why don't they talk about the 61 Hispanic Latino Medal of Honor recipients across the nation that have given their lives and given up their everything they possibly could for freedoms of our nation? These are the champions of our ethnicity. These are the champions of our nation. And this is not what we talk about. Why don't we talk about how socialism is every reason why every Latin American country is a failure economically? Because of socialism and corruption.
Right.
And corruption, because socialism immediately leads to corruption. Immediately.
Right.
That is the number one byproduct of socialism is corruption. And
So
we
I
don't talk
see-
about that
I
because
know,
they
I
don't
see
know these messaging points. They don't know. They keep talking to quote unquote Hispanic experts, and all those Hispanic experts talk about is the divisions between Cubans and Mexicans and Puerto Ricans and Nicaraguans. No, we're a unified people. We're unified. We are all unified on major points. The major points are country, family, God, and education. The messaging should be centered around all of those things, but they don't do it. Instead, they go around and practice insanity, doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Well, I've been watching what they're doing to the community centers, and they're doing like classes on Bitcoin, classes on entrepreneurship, and all they're doing is asking for the list of people that attend, and they don't really have a lot of people that are attending. It's the same kind of people, and then of course they're just trying to get the list so that they can either send you a email that says, "Hey, donate money," or they're trying to get volunteers to go block walk and phone bank, and that's really the definition of insanity. This is the way they operate. So what would you propose if Rhonda McDaniel was listening to this? What would you propose to be a change in these community centers that would really get out the vote for the Hispanic community? ¿Qué pudieron hacer esos the people that they've hired?
Fire them all.
And then what? And then what? Fire them and then what?
Hire experts in marketing. Okay. Hire experts that are second, third generation Hispanic Americans. Hire experts that know the history. There are some great videos out there that I have seen that talk about the Latino Medal of Honor winners. There's a great video out there that I saw on Catholic Vote that talks about the La Cristiada and how socialism tried to eradicate First Amendment, would not try, eradicated First Amendment rights in Mexico. Right. These are powerful videos that I have seen. This has to be the cornerstones of the messaging to the Latino community. Remind them of the failures of their nations and why we're here, so that we don't repeat the mistakes of the past, because we're going right down the same road all over again, Bianca.
Right. So
they have eradicated the same powers that eradicated First Amendment rights in Mexico. Latin America, Cuba are doing the exact same thing here.
What do you think of the illegal immigration right now happening at the borders of Texas?
Well, I'm going to say something.
Okay, say
I
it.
am
Listen, I'm about giving you a voice, so say it.
I'm going to say it, Bianca, and this may be a little controversial, but hey, Democrats, hey, Republicans, we are not a football. Stop kicking us around. Make a decision and help these people that are coming over to work. They're not coming over here to mooch. They're coming over here to work. And if they're not coming over here to work, then get rid of them. But stop kicking us around like a can around down the street. We are not a political football for you guys. I am tired. Every election year, they use us as a political football.
They do.
I'm sick of it. I'm sick
Yeah.
of it. I'm
Yeah.
tired of it. We as Latinos will be so offended by both of these parties using us as a political football. But not only that, boy, has the curtain been pulled back on liberalism, hasn't it? Martha's
Yep.
Vineyard, huh? Martha's Vineyard, I guess inclusive-ness does not apply to Martha's Vineyard, huh? It's
Right.
amazing. It's
Right.
amazing how that inclusion no longer applies, does
I
it?
know.
It's
Did you see?
amazing
Did
the
you see that?
hypocrisy.
That they immediately bust them out and they fed them to make it look like, oh yeah, hey, look, we took care of them, but they got them out of there.
Of course they did. They don't want us unless we're cutting their grass, unless we're cooking for them, unless we're cleaning their house. But that unfortunately is the stereotype that guess who has created? Hollywood. The
Yep.
majority of minority doctors are Latino.
Yep.
Majority of minority attorneys are Latinos. How
Right.
come Hollywood doesn't portray us as that? Oh, I guess Hollywood isn't inclusive either. Hey, how about the number of producers in Hollywood that are Latino? Hey,
Right.
next time you see a movie and they show all the people that work there, hey, how come there's no inclusion there? I don't see many Peñas there. I don't see many Rodriguez's there. I don't see many Gonzalez's there. Hey, Hollywood, how come you're not inclusive? How come you start stereotyping as the lowest level of society when, hey, our children are doctors, attorneys, engineers? Why don't you showcase that?
Right. That's good. Hey, that's really good.
They
That's
don't.
that's a good. Hey, that's a very good point. Why is that? You know,
Huh. Because
that's
they want to condition society to make us look as nothing but serfs. That's what liberalism is about, creating
right.
serfs, a serfdom. And that's my fear. That is my fear. That they are going to create the Latino community into a community of serfs. I don't want to be
Right.
anybody's serf. I am a landowner myself. I do not want to be a serf. My children are landowners themselves. They do not want to be serfs. But boy, does the establishment and Hollywood and the media, boy, do they make us look like the lowest levels of society when, hey, we're doctors, we're engineers, we're attorneys. But they don't portray us as such anywhere in these movies. I'm sick of it.
You're right. You're right. That's what I mean. I don't know. You couldn't have said it any better.
Well, we
Because
have
you got a lot of
a
passion,
few.
Luchador. You got a lot of passion, and I think that um, if you have any, I mean, you've said a lot today, but what is your call to action? We got about 5 minutes left in our broadcasting. Luchador, I want to start bringing you on to Stand Up, Stand Out America. I want to start tackling some of these issues. I want to start, talking about things that we need to be talking about. And so, I know this is not going to be the first time that you come on here. Hopefully not, Luchador. I need a voice like you. We need to rattle the cage. We need to wake our community up. We need to send a message. What is your call to action in these last 5 minutes? We
I
got
think we.
November coming around. What
Oh
can
my
we
God.
do?
I am scared to death of November. I am afraid of what's going to happen to our nation because if our nation has not woken up, if our community, if our Latino community has not woken up after these last 2 years, then I don't know what is it going to take. I don't know what it's going to take for America to finally wake up to see the evils of socialism. At the same time, I think Latinos more than anybody understand being backstabbed. And unfortunately, the party that we're relying on to fight against the evils of socialism, the Democratic Party, the party that is supposed to stand up to them, doesn't. And that is another huge reason why Latinos are like, well, what do we do? I know I'm at the same level. Like, what do I do? In the city, in the state that I live in, I'm like, well, who do I vote for?
Right.
And that's the scary part,
Right.
is we don't have anybody has a backbone. And if they have a backbone, what do? They raid their house. The FBI will raid their home. They are using.
That's what I'm saying. We're running the risk. We put our name out there. We're running the risk of the government coming after us just because we had something to say.
We have to call out. We have to call out all of the people that are backstabbing us. That's what we have to do, Bianca. We have to call them out, but we don't, because of the establishment. The establishment funds everybody and everything, and so they're afraid to speak out, Bianca, and that's the problem.
Right.
The parties have become
well, we got to do something about it.
Well, George Washington said it best. The parties will eventually become so self-serving that they will only serve themselves and not the people, and that's exactly what we're seeing now.
Well, we're going to be launching out a website soon. It's going to be El Movimiento de la Gente. It's going to be calling on the Latino community to get involved wherever it is across the United States. They literally fill out the form. They literally say, what county and what state they're in, and it directs them to their Secretary of State or to their local county clerk so that they can sign up to be poll watchers. Poll watchers are paid during election time. If they can volunteer, whether it's a day or week or the election day alone, we need poll watchers. So we're going to ask for us to protect a fair and balanced election. We want to make sure we have poll watchers out across the country. So that's going to be coming up, and hopefully I'll have it this next week to start launching it, El Movimiento de la Gente. Luchador, is there anywhere that you can be found social media wise, or you're just kind of on the lowdown? I know you're a hard worker, so
right now I'm on the lowdown, but you and I have been talking about launching something very soon, I hope, Bianca, and I don't want to say it yet. But I think it's something, and it goes back to what you're saying, that we have to rally our community for the nation to see who and what we are to this nation.
Yes,
we are the future of this nation. We the people are the future of this nation. Not they, the parties, but we, the people. But we have to wake up. We have to unite. And if Latinos have to be the tip of the spear, then so be it. I am ready to be the tip of the spear to bring the power back to we, the people.
Amen, Luchador. All right, Luchador, thank you for being on with us tonight on Friday night on Stand Up, Stand Out America. We will see you next time, Luchador. Stay out there. Stay in the fight. You and I will be communicating behind the scenes and getting this initiative up and rolling, and I'm excited about it. I thank you so much for being on board with us tonight. Hasta luego, mi amigo.
Hey, and to Antifa, look at the beauty of the splash of color. Look at the beauty of a splash of color in a mask, okay? Look at the beauty. I love it. Antifa. Learn,
white,
Antifa.
And blue.
Saludos, mi amiga querida. Un abrazo, and keep up the fight, Bianca. Keep it up. Thank you.
All right. Amen, Luchador.
You are a hero to our people, Bianca. Thank you for being a hero for our people, Bianca. Thank you.
You too, Luchador. I'll see you next time.
Adios, amiga.
Adios. I'm going to play this for you guys.
In the United States, especially with the demographic of the Latino community becoming the voting bloc for the future of this nation, these are the stories that need to be told. And it all started with Mexico. The key to socialism is complete eradication of First Amendment rights, specifically freedom of religion. was to give a sign to people, do not get in my way. If you get in my way, this is what's going to happen to you. And so there were mass hangings. He would hang the cristeros on the telegraph poles up and down the rail lines of Mexico. They always come in under the guise of
All right, looks like we got cut off there, guys. I don't know what happened in this last 2 minutes, but I apologize. We'll see you next Friday. This is going to be a short broadcast right now. I was trying to share this screen real quick. Let me go back and see if I can end it with this, because I thought this was extremely important. 1 second here. Let's see if I can get this up and running here. Here we go. All right, let's see if I can get this up and running again.
In the United States, especially with the demographic of the Latino community becoming the voting bloc for the future of this nation, these are the stories that need to be told. And it all started with Mexico. The key to socialism is complete eradication of First Amendment rights, specifically freedom of religion. In 1922, Plutarco Elias Calles was voted into power as president by the people of Mexico. He was promised to cure all the social injustices with the nation. We need to eradicate prejudice within the nation. Hey, we want to provide for the people, giving them free food, right? We want to provide also for the education of a nation, right? By providing free education from kindergarten all the way through college. Okay? All of these things sounded fantastic. So under Plutarco Elias Calles, all religious ceremonies were outlawed. All marriages were no longer recognized as religious ceremonies. So they were all just basic civil, secular unions. So the church was slowly but surely being completely eradicated throughout the entire nation. Education could only be secular. One of Plutarco Elias Calles' famous quotes, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically stated that we needed to take control of the mind of the youth, because he knew that if he took control of the mind of the youth, right, that was an entire generation that was now going to be not educated, but indoctrinated. So good people started rising up. That became known as the Cristero War, or La Cristiada. Anybody who opposed the strong-handed rule of Plutarco Elias Calles was immediately persecuted, was immediately killed, was immediately shot under a firing squad. And this was the strong-arm tactic of Plutarco Elias Calles, which has been the strong-arm tactic of every despotic leader throughout world history, was to give a sign to people, do not get in my way. If you get in my way, this is what's going to happen to you. And so there were mass hangings. He would hang the cristeros on the telegraph poles up and down the rail lines of Mexico. They always come in under the guise of invoking social justice, when on the contrary, all they want to do is rule. So Andres Vasquez, he was one of the ones that rose up. He was a mercantile man, so he owned a very successful general store in Mexico. And his store was located directly across the street from a church. As he saw that people of faith were being gunned down in the streets, and Andres Vasquez said, I need to do something about it. So he dug a tunnel from his home to the catacombs that were located underneath the church. And that's how he would ferry people out that would run into the church seeking asylum, seeking sanctuary. So as a result of ferrying all the people to safety through the tunnel that they had built, Andres Vasquez Jr. and Andres Vasquez Sr. contracted tuberculosis. Both of them passed away. And that left Lupe Vasquez a widow. She never lost her faith. She never remarried, upholding the traditions of her faith. She, however, had a great-granddaughter. Her great-granddaughter was named Amanda. Amanda met a gentleman from Texas, fell in love, got married, had children of their own, but those children were born American. They were born into the First Amendment rights. And the eldest of their children was me. When I see today's society, the rioting, the violence, if you will, it's people who don't understand the freedoms that we already have in this nation. Freedom needs people that are awake. Freedom does not need people that are asleep. Así es que hay que despertarnos siempre, porque la libertad necesita gente que está despierta.